There's that second rhythm. Then every once in a while I'll blow out a little bit of wind, whoosh, like this here, and that's another rhythm that's in there. So I'm trying to layer on all these rhythms, and you get used to hearing them. And then when I start playing the melody, I'll play the melody, and in between places where the melody sounds, I'll try to get those other rhythms in there, so it sounds like it's all still happening, but it's not all still happening. It's just a suggestion that is happening. It's like being kind of like a magician. You think you're seeing something, but you're not really. You think you're hearing something, but you're not really hearing it. It's just putting these different kind of pieces together. Fast as hammer caught the fire in the wind, guys. When John Henry was a baby, he was sitting on his daddy's knee. He pointed his finger at a little piece of steel, said, "That'll be the death of, that'll be the death of me." Opening up and closing the hands, doing the chugging of the train, blowing out the air, all these different kinds of rhythms. You try to play that while you're doing them in between the melody parts, and then it sounds actually fuller than it is because you've heard it. So you have to play it a certain amount of time at the beginning, so people say, okay, that registers that kind of rhythm is playing, it registers that kind of rhythm is playing, it registers that kind. Then you can go off into the melody and kind of as a part of kind of prestidigitation, you produce something that may sound like something is happening, but it's not happening because of course you can't do all those things simultaneously. But anyway, that's a well-known blues ballad, and many people think that blues ballads like John Henry and Stacker Lee and things like that are among the earliest examples of blues that come out. And what would happen was that African Americans would take the Anglo-American ballad and graft a field holler vocal on it. You know what field hollers are? Field hollers what preceded the blues. And before that we have work songs. So when African Americans worked in the fields on the plantations during the time of slavery, they would sing a particular kind of composition that was produced by one singer who was a lead singer who would sing a line, and then everybody else would kind of join in, and they would overlap, and they call that a call and response, which is part of what we hear in the structure of blues that's played on guitar and harmonica and piano and different kinds of things like that. So they would have work songs where they would sing. They would be chopping wood. This is chopping wood. We'll make believe. So they sing, "Old Alabama Johnny, big old Prof, hey, can't you hear about the big old Prof, hey, old Alabama Johnny, we gon' roll it." And the lead singer would sing, "Old Alabama Johnny," and everybody else would join in whatever they were singing at the end of that, and that would be an overlapping call and response. So we have people singing these work songs in the fields, and then after the slavery, when a good number of the plantations are broken up, what we get is a sharecropping system that's put in place, and in the sharecropping system, we would have one person singing in the field. How do you do call and response when there's only one person there? Well, what we get then is an individual person singing what they call a field holler or hoolie. Sometimes it's called an over and over because they can frequently be repetitious. And it developed out of the work song vocal into the field holler vocal for an individual. And it was very similar to the sound of the work song person in that you would have sliding and gliding, but what I like to call, instead of a pitch point, where you got, let's say, what is it? From this valley, they say, you are going. And each one of the notes hits right at the point. And in a pitch space, you bend up to the note, or you bend down to the note, or you slide around it, or you make it quiver, or something like that. This is characteristic of West African music, and it's also characteristic of music that African Americans began creating and playing in America as well. So they would, you would hear lots of bending up the old Alabama Johnny, big old Prof, hey. And instead of just hitting the note right on like that, you know, it's one of the things that we find most distinctive about blues and jazz and things like that. That it's not just about hitting a note in one place. It's honoring the space around the note, you know, which in Western music we're taught not necessarily to honor, you know, not necessarily to think about. So it's a opening up of the music to a different way of thinking about how it's played. You know, I'll tell you a story. One time, I went to